Hi all, today we'll be covering Kubernetes, and in this playlist we'll be covering from intro to the advanced level of Kubernetes like ingress, RBAC, liveness and resource management. Let's get started with the introduction. Coming to the prerequisites of Kubernetes. Yes, there is prerequisites. You should be knowing Docker and Docker Compose. Docker knowledge is a must, whereas Docker Compose is optional. Docker Compose is again an orchestration tool, just like Kubernetes. So, if you know Docker Compose, you can easily correlate what's happening in Kubernetes. And Docker knowledge is a must. You should know how to run a container, how to start a container, or how to stop a container, how to build a container. Yeah. So coming to what is Kubernetes or K8s. So Kubernetes is a container orchestration tool. Uh, and so next question is, what is container orchestration tool? So it's a tool that is used to manage, scale and maintain containerized applications. So again, Docker Compose is another example of a orchestration tool. So how is it different from Docker and Docker Compose? The thing is, Docker Compose or Docker is meant for a single host deployment or a simple deployment, whereas Kubernetes is meant for multi-node real-world applications. Let's say an enterprise is deploying a service, they will surely go with Kubernetes instead of Docker. Another differentiating factor is K8s is internally having master and worker nodes. It supports RBAC. This is role-based access control. DRA is disaster recovery. HA is high availability, replicas, and load balancing. All these enterprise features are supported in K8s, whereas it's not supported in Docker Compose. And most importantly, you can easily remember like all the scaled production, all the enterprise production settings will be going with Kubernetes, and all the internal deployments can go with the Docker Compose. Coming to the architecture of K8s, this is a very simple architecture of K8s. So we have a client piece as well as we have a server piece. Server piece is internally having control plane and data plane. So this is the client piece and we have a server piece. Need not look into what's going inside. You have the controller, server and the scheduler. So proxy, kubelet, all these things are there in the server side, but you should be remembering like there is a client piece and a server piece. I mean, there is no point. I mean, there is advantages of understanding what goes into it, but that's out of scope for this session. So there is a client piece and there is a server piece. So all you need to know now is K8s, there is a K8s server and there is a K8s client. And the K8s server spins up services or Docker instances on demand and maintains the state of all worker nodes. That's one. And K8s client is also called kubectl or kubectl. So kubectl client allows us to interact with the server. So you have the client piece, which is the kubectl, and that interacts with the kube server, and kube server internally maintains all the state of the worker nodes, all the states of the running nodes. So additional fun facts. So it is open sourced. Again, Kubernetes is maintained by Google. So cube and there is 8 letters, that's why K8s. So it's much better than Docker Compose deployment, even though there is an overhead. When you are studying Docker, you might not understand the need for Kubernetes. Once you are into any production scale setting and understand how Kubernetes works, you'll never go back to Docker Compose. The first option that you'll prefer for sure is Kubernetes.